First of all, thank you everybody for joining us today. My name is Daniel Redmond. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing with Moonblink Communications. I'll go over a quick overview of Moonblink, and then I will hand the presentation off to Ronan at PureWave. For those of you who don't know us, Moonblink Communications is a value-added distributor for wireless broadband and video surveillance solutions. We focus on providing solutions for service providers, value-added resellers, and system integrators. It's our focus at Moonblink to strive to bring value add to our customers and be more than just an order-taking organization. We want to help you guys with product recommendation, system design, and we do that through well-trained partner development managers and certified engineers that we have on site. In addition to our technical expertise, we also support our customers through press releases and case studies to help promote our customer services in the United States and around the world. Moonblink has corporate offices here in Sunnyvale, which is in the heart of Silicon Valley. We also have remote offices in Hobart, Indiana, and Indian Trails, North Carolina. About a year ago, we partnered with PureWave. We found to see as a leader in WiMAX and LTE solutions, and over the past year, I've worked with several solution providers and system integrators in the United States and around the world to deploy the systems with great success. After the webinar, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us to talk in more detail about any specific applications that you're working on. And on that note, I'd like to introduce you to Ronan Bagash, the VP of Marketing and Business Development with PureWave Networks. Ronan, I'll take it from there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, thank you and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. What I'll be talking about today is how small operators should look at 4G emerging technologies. How do we prepare for that future that's coming? Some of the challenges that we expect to see, and some of the solutions that industry is about to offer to operators to address those challenges. I'll also introduce you to PureWave and some of our products. And let me just jump straight into that and get started. So just a few words about PureWave. We're, as a company, started in 2003. We're a manufacturer of compact 4G wireless base stations. As a company, we only do the base station side of the equation, and we partner with the industry as a whole for the rest of our solutions. We have a wide line of WiMAX products, some of which we'll talk about today, including our PureWave Quantum 6600 and 2200 series of products. We're also hard at work developing an LTE portfolio of products, which we will announce when they'll be coming to market in the next few months. But we're very excited about those. We are based in Mountain View, California, and as I mentioned, we've been in business since around 2003. Our products are made in the U.S., and we are RUS certified for those of you that are interested in going after some RUS funding for your networks. One of the things I think that makes us unique, and I sort of alluded to this a minute ago, is that as a company, we only develop the base station side of the equation. We have a very ecosystem-centric view of the world. We're big advocates of open solutions, and we partner with a large number of other vendors to allow our operators to select the solution that is right for them. We are strong believers in this best-of-breed type of approach. As a company, we see our area of expertise in the small cell market that we'll talk about today, and also in smart antenna technology, which has, we think, very impressive benefits for operators, especially ones that have challenging coverage environments. Without further introduction, let's talk a little bit about the types of solutions that we bring to the market here. As I mentioned, as a company that focuses on base stations, our hope is to bring the widest possible selection of base stations to the market to allow for a very wide range of deployment scenarios and applications. Our customers have deployed networks in very rural areas, obviously very dense urban areas. Base stations go anywhere from wireless towers all the way to your urban utility posts and anything in between. In terms of frequencies, we offer, essentially we support all the standard WiMAX frequencies. For the U.S., the ones that are relevant are the 2.5 gigahertz licensed band and the 3.65 gigahertz semi-licensed band. But for the world as a whole, we support all the rest of the frequencies that are available for WiMAX. There are a couple of the frequencies that we support that are not listed here. A good example of that would be the 1.8 gigahertz frequency, which might be of interest to some of you guys that are interested in utility-type applications or located in Asia. So we do have a product for that band as well. In terms of applications, obviously the networks that we deploy are data-centric, but there's a very strong component of voice that our customers are deploying. We actually do a lot of testing on the voice side, and of course there are other applications that folks run, such as video. The products all support full mobility, so if that is part of your network vision, it is supported in our products today, and we also have the ability to deploy without that functionality if that's of interest. So I guess it's time to jump into the meat of the discussion. And what I'd like to focus on today is essentially talk about 4G wireless networks. And I guess a very good place to start is with a question that I get asked all the time when I speak to folks, which is, is LTE right for my network? And this would be a good place to say that we as a company don't really have a horse in this race. So we are developing an LTE solution. We do believe LTE will be a very big business. And will offer a great deal of opportunities for a wide range of operators. But the question is about the present. Is it right for me to deploy right now? And by the way, before I do that, I forgot to say at the beginning, if you guys have any questions, please type them in. If they're relevant to the specific topic that I'm talking about at that moment, I'll try to take them on the spot. Otherwise, we'll try to answer as many of the questions as possible at the tail end of the discussion, at the end of the presentation. So why should you guys care about 4G networks, and especially as a small operator? I think that's an important question. And my view of this, and PureWave's view of this as a whole, is that small operators should care about 4G networks first and foremost because everybody else does. So your competitors clearly are very much going to be deploying 4G networks. If you're talking about the big guys, when you read the industry press, practically everybody, all they're talking about is this type of network. So, the competition is coming. They will be offering those capabilities. And obviously, if you want to remain competitive, I think that's critical. The second point on this is that 4G networks, by their very nature, by design, are meant to be data-centric. And the types of applications, the types of services that we're seeing customers use today and demand growing strongly are all data-centric. So if you look at, even for the traditional wireless carriers, you're seeing the importance of voice diminishing pretty quickly and data becoming the main driver of the business. And that is what these networks are here to do. But I think the most important points with respect to the question, why should you care about this, is the fact that these networks will be changing the operator business model. Deploying networks in the way we've been used to doing for the past 20 or 30 years is just not going to fly, simply because the economics are no longer going to be the same economics. They're going to change your business model. They're going to change how you charge your customers. They're going to change the types of applications that your customers run, and of course, they're going to greatly increase the demand for data by your customers. And all of that is going to drive a change in the way that the networks themselves are deployed, which I'll talk about in more detail today. The same way of deploying will no longer, we feel, be valid in the coming years. So let's talk about this LTE question. And when we look at this, we come out on the side of saying that LTE at present, and I would like to emphasize that because that's the main point here, at present is still a big operator technology. And let me tell you why we view that as being the case. So first of all, LTE is going to be available in a very wide range of bands. There's approximately 30 or more bands that have so far been defined for LTE, both TDD and FDD, with FDD clearly getting to market faster by about 2 to 3 years, and most of the emphasis in the industry these days is on the FDD side. But the bands that have been approved so far, and this might change in the future, but so far the bands that have been approved and where the emphasis and effort by industry is going is on the bands that are being deployed and used by the large big operators, meaning this is a spectrum that's expensive and inaccessible to many of the smaller operators. And I always like to give the 700 megahertz auction, from a few years ago as a good example for why that is, not very relevant for a lot of the folks that are on the call today. With that auction generating about $20 billion for the FCC and the cost per megahertz pop, ranging between $2 and $20 per megahertz pop. So very, very expensive type of spectrum is currently the focus of LTE. Now, I would like to say that I do envision that changing in the future. I do envision LTE moving into more vertical applications and gradually expanding into other bands and so forth. But as of now, that is very much still the case. In terms of the ecosystem, so once again, there's good news and bad news. So the good news is that the ecosystem is developing very, very rapidly. I think it's developing faster than we've ever seen an ecosystem sort of emerge in the wireless space. But unfortunately, it's still not quite there. We're still a ways out. Costs for equipment are still high. Many of the silicon vendors are still coming out with their first generation chips, which means that power consumption is high, performance is not as good as we expect it to be, and so forth. Yes, a lot of the big operators, as I mentioned before, are able to field product early on and are driving the development of this ecosystem very rapidly. But again, unless you are a Verizon, it's going to be tough for you to lead the charge on that technology, and you're not going to have access to the full range of devices and network gear that is becoming available. Another important point to bring up in this context, and there's a good question about whether this will continue to be the case long term or not. Personally, I believe that it's going to take a long time for this to change, is the issue of complexity of network deployment. And the important thing to remember about LTE is that it is an evolution of the existing wireless standards and therefore carries on its back a lot of legacy that needs to be supported. And as a result, the complexity of the core network and the cost of deploying that core network is high. And most of the smaller operators that we are working with are not terribly comfortable with that type of expense or complexity. I think that specific aspect of it will take a long time to change. The final point I'd like to discuss, and this is a little known fact, but it is critical in terms of evaluating the economics of this entire proposition. Right? When you're looking at products, an important component of the cost of the products is the intellectual rights that vendors need to essentially license to use it.